What up, what up? It's Jack, aka Just a Cunt here, and today I wanted to talk about... I was feeling a little nostalgic, looking back at some old fights, watching some old Demetrius Johnson fights, reliving the glory days back in the day, and, well, I wanted to talk about UFC fighters whose prime I miss. And when I say prime, I use that term very loosely. There's going to be some fighters on here who are still fighting, who are still top contenders, but who there's a year, 2 year part of their career where they were just on a roll and had a level of not only momentum, but a level of excitement that we didn't know how good they're going to be. You know what I mean? Someone like Michael Morales, he has that air of, we don't know how good he's going to be, But nonetheless, let's get started. Starting off at flyweight, man. I miss Deiveson Figueiredo. I do. I'm not gonna hate to admit it. Seems like a lot of people are turning around, acting like Deiveson Figueiredo was a fair fighter. No. Stay on your side of the fence. I remember when everyone and their mom shitted on this guy when he was the champion. He was fighting Brandon Moreno. First fight, he won. He whooped Brandon Moreno's ass. That's simple. He got a nut shot. The kid got a kid got lucky. Brandon Moreno got a free point diversion, free draw. All I'm saying, he wins that first fight. You give him the decision he deserves. We don't have to deal with any of this nonsense that follows. Anyway, but I'm not even talking about that. Prime Figueiredo wasn't even this Figueiredo when he hit like the quadrilogy with Moreno. Prime Figueiredo was when this man was headlining pay-per-views back to back. Y'all don't remember. You weren't there. Y'all out here being Islam fans. Y'all out here being this, that. Before I get too old head, I feel like an old head now, even though I've really been a true MMA fan only since like 2019, So I don't want to be too much of an old head, but I remember this time when he was guillotine Alex Perez, when he was flatlining Joseph Benavidez, when there was Demetrius Johnson in terms of skill, him, Henry Cejudo in terms of like who were the most skilled, but in terms of who's the most brutal, who saved the flyweight division, you could say Henry Cejudo saved it by beating TJ, but who really gave it life? I would say that's Deiveson Figueiredo. Crazy knockout power, crazy submissions, was just bullying everyone. Like, genuinely one of the most scary fighters pound for pound in terms of not speaking that much, coming in with a Gucci suit, and just... Figgy was funny. He's changed his style now, but back in the day, I feel like he'd literally do a Conor McGregor as he'd walk in, he'd do a karate stance, he'd come in, he'd grab your lead hand and just swing the right hand until he fucking hit you down the pipe. Anyway, Deiveson Figueiredo, the God of War, the true God of War. Ben Voss Anthony, better get the fuck out of here. This is the original God of War. Still my flyweight GOAT. I don't give a fuck. Sick and tired of these motherfucker. Alright, all this hype Pantoja is getting, lost to Deiveson Figueiredo. Nonetheless, moving on. Rob Font. This is one of my low-key fighters back in the day. This is one of those, I've had phases as a UFC fan, right? I've had different times where I liked certain different fighters, right? I actually started off as an Israel Adesanya fan. Might be something y'all didn't know about, but my favorite fighter when I first started was Israel Adesanya, where I watched him right before the Whitaker fight. That's when I became a fan. That I watched him became a champion and a crazy performance. That's when I really hammered it home at the time, Then, he had some whatever fights, he'd fight, he obviously fought, Yoel right after that. He was supposed to fight Paulo Costa, but his bicep been injured, then Yoel, that. Nonetheless, goes through different stages. Rob Font, man. When bantamweight was growing up to be one of the best divisions, it's kind of when Cody Garbrandt was kind of going on a slide. Jose Aldo moved down. Petr Yan was champion or just lost the belt. Corey Sand, this is one that bantamweight now is trying to shifting a little bit, but it's still kind of whatever. This was like the start of it. And for some reason, this is when bantamweights couldn't stop having banger main events. Corey Sandhagen, TJ Dillashaw, Rob Font, Cody Garbrandt. That's kind of one of the main ones that really got me as a fan, you know what I mean? There's a lot of times where you put these boys as a main event for 5 rounds in the Apex, you know, having a good time. And I think it was just his style just was like fun to watch for me, like his pressuring jab style. I wasn't someone that was always like a Justin Gaethje fan in terms of like, I want to see the most wild guy just go in there and swing. I was never like that. To me, I always preferred like technical boxers. Like I was a big Peter Yan fan, etc., etc. And Rob Font, he was someone that looked like he was gonna put on a new level of boxing. You know, he knocked out knocked out Moraes with a jab. He was hurting Cody. He had big hands, big ass fucking pawing hands. Great jab, probably the best jab in the UFC. This one, Usman was knocking people out and people were saying he had the jab. And every time my hardcore take was like, bro, Kamaru Usman has the best jab. Rob Font has the best jab, man. Rob Font. Look at that Cody Garbrandt main event, man. That's the best jab in the UFC, man. I'm telling you, bro, I was out here hardcore. I was hardcore checking people, was asking who has the best jab in the UFC. Nonetheless, moving on to featherweight, Rob Font's still my boy. He's still doing good. We got bald Font right now, and I still prefer balding Font. I'm not gonna lie. Nonetheless, moving on. Max Blessed Holloway. Now I know what you're thinking. He's literally headlining a pay-per-view in 2 weeks, or in 1 week. Sorry. And yeah, he is headlining a pay-per-view in 1 week, but guess what? Featherweight Max Holloway, when this man was cooking up a random ass contender, taking their soul. This man was basically a bodyguard for Volkanovski, it felt like. It felt like anytime a prospect got 2 or 3 wins, or anytime a veteran was starting to put some things together, Max Holloway would take him to the middle of a random fucking country and just school them for 5 rounds. Calvin Kattar's moving up. He's moving on division. Max Holloway might be off a slide. He was coming off a loss to Volkanovski. I don't know, man. You know, Max gets hit. That fucking schools him. Literally has Dana White on the octagon side dialing 911. He's sending the SWAT team to take Max Holloway off this man. He's literally brutalizing that much. Arnold Allen, undefeated in the UFC. Good win. Sadiq Youssef, kind of unproven, but still looks very solid. I'm pretty sure he was coming off the Dan Hooker win, if I remember right, off that crazy UK fight night with Max Holloway was Tom Aspinall when he submitted Volkov. I'm pretty sure he's coming off that crazy performance for Dan Hooker was in the slide, went down, got TKO'd. But Max Holloway didn't beat him up, but definitely showed him a different level. Max Holloway did a really good job around this time of like really showing technical levels. You know what I mean? There's certain fighters that can, like Oliveira is the type of guy too. He's not always gonna show you levels. He will if you're low enough level, but if you're like if he's like fighting a contender that's on his level, he's gonna go there and try to finish you. Max Holloway, during this time, it felt like he was trying to be less of a marauder. I felt like he was trying to prove himself technically, trying to not get as much brain damage, trying to lessen the CTE a little bit. Korean Zombie knocked him out cold, but this was peak Max Holloway for me. I'm excited for his run at lightweight. The thing is, right now, I just feel like he's nerfed in the sense of like no one wants to acknowledge him as like, he just knocked out Justin Gaethje. If he beats Dustin Poirier, he literally about to tie Charles Oliveira's legacy at lightweight. Like, K destroyed Justin Gaethje. He may destroy Dustin Poirier. If he beats like an Arman Sarukian or something, however these Justin Gaethje, Paddy, Arman, I believe Max, hopefully he'll win next weekend and we'll be able to put him in that title conversation. I think he has a lot of legacy still to make, assuming he gets past Poirier, but nonetheless, Max Holloway, you have to love Max, just is. Not all you phony fans that just liked him after knocking out Justin Gaethje, true OG fans, back in the day when this man was on Fight Island against Volkanovski. Peak. Now, going from one extreme to the other, from Max Holloway, technical maestro, you know, 1-1-2, 1-2 jab body shot, you know, throwing a spinning back kick in there, throwing a head kick in there, maybe even an elbow if he really feels like it. Also, Yair Rodriguez fight, forgot to mention that fucking banger of a fight as well. Going on to the other end, as previously mentioned, it's really over. Charles Oliveira, man. The Olive era is over. Take me back to when he dropped Michael Chandler. That felt like when the UFC changed. And when I say changed, I don't mean like the whole sport, like as we knew it changed, but like a new era started, right? Like to me, the shorts are kind of like indicators of different eras, right? Not entirely, but like when you imagine certain champions or certain reigns, you could like the shorts and almost the lighting too. I don't know if y'all have noticed. I feel like certain pay-per-views have unique lighting to them and they give them a different vibe. And I feel like Kamaru Usman, Jorge Masvidal too, that's when the new shorts got revealed. But they still didn't feel like they were like here yet. They still felt like kind of ugly, kind of power rangy, a little bit too bright, almost this, that. But Charles Oliveira was the bright yellow and green. The blonde hair, the new tattoos. It felt like, Khabib was gone. It felt like there was a power vacuum at lightweight. Dustin Poirier was chasing money fights. It felt like Oliveira, who was the underdog, going against Michael Chandler, who didn't deserve to be there, but still people felt like he was going to win just because in terms of power. Goes in there, almost gets finished, created a moment, right? When we think of the past couple years, what are big MMA moments? We have Leon Edwards' head kick over Usman. We have, I would say Volkanovski versus Islam, the first fight, I would say Charles Oliveira winning the lightweight belts up there. Not necessarily in terms of pure importance, in terms of pure legacy, but in terms of a moment that everyone remembered and felt, I feel like Oliveira did that. Crazy title run, back and forth, really tested my heart. I had many a heart attacks, many a sweaty palms. And, it's just, with Oliveira, there's always the notion that someone's going to knock him out. Kind of like Yuri Prochazka, where he's too fun, that we knew he was going to, I knew in the back of my head he was going to get knocked out, he was going to get hurt. And Islam kind of did, he got rocked, this, that, and the other, and then, lost the arm in, but it was a close fight. But it didn't feel like that, but it felt like Ilya really closed the door on him being champion. I don't know about y'all, but I'd rather Oliveira retire on top as still a legend, still a top 5 lightweight of all time, still someone that has one of the most inspiring stories of all time. Go to Hollywood, go to make his movie. Nonetheless, I love you, Charles, and I ain't gonna forget. I'm not gonna forget. Moving on to welterweight. Pour one out for young Durinho, man. Pour one out, bro. He's starting to become a fucking joke, bro. He's like, bro. He dropped Usman twice with a head kick and a left hook and almost won the welterweight belt. And now he's out here just weeing overhands and backing up against the fence, skirting around the cage like he's dodging a fucking tennis ball, like he's doing a fucking Rose Namajunas fucking drill. He's doing drills in the octagon, just hopping back and forth, bro. Fuck, bro. What happened to Gilbert, bro? This man was the biggest double threat in the UFC. Bro, when he whipped Woodley's ass, eating bombs off Woodley. Going in there, crazy knee bars, crazy KOs. The one where he weaves the jab, comes on with the left hook flat, knocks out the guy. Beat Damian Maia, bro. This felt like a jiu-jitsu guy with testosterone. A jiu-jitsu guy that could really be big, be strong, be powerful, had some wrestling. Problem with a lot of jiu-jitsu guys is that it felt like they were too reliant on the opponent making mistakes and capitalizing on them, or pulling guard, or kind of on a slow day. I feel like Durinho was kind of one of the first people, him, Oliveira, a couple guys you're probably thinking of in That Could Fit This that really started to change the notion of it. But I don't know, Bird was just fun. He was just fun, and the style of jiu-jitsu that he did, that felt very brutal. When he got a submission, obviously he hasn't had a fucking submission since Neil fucking Magny, and that was a fucking arm triangle. So I don't know. That Kamaru Usman reign, Usman was coming off of the Jorge Masvidal performance, and this is when I was peak hating Usman. Not because I actually disliked him. I was still a fan, of course, and his Colby fights made me appreciate him more, but Burns was he was wholesome, bro. He was wholesome. That little grin, that little smile. The ha. I remember that shit. This shit got me hype as fuck, bro. I'm telling you, man, Gilbert Burns, bro. He was like 2 or 3 shots from becoming welterweight champ, and it just, the Hamzat fight looked very good in that fight. Really showed to be impressive. Felt like that Burns wasn't a joke, but I don't know, man. Last couple fights, he had his little title, he had his little resurgence. I swear this man was the man to beat Leon Edwards. I was kind of nervous he'd get caught with a jab, but I was like, I swear to God, this bro can take him down and submit him. But you know, you win some, you lose some. Nonetheless, moving on. God, these are getting sad, man. These are getting sad. Robert the Reaper Whittaker, bro. Oh my God. Israel Adesanya with leg kick and jab, so Whittaker would fucking Robert Whittaker go in there with the jab 2 head kick with the double leg. Fucking proper one, bro. I'm telling you. Would go to France, fucking school Marvin Vittori. Would go to Brazil, fucking school Paulo Costa, bro. He was something else. Crazy main events, crazy fights against Darren Till. Fights that weren't like crazy wars, but like just like very impressive schoolings, like technical schoolings. Like it was very fun watching someone use like nothing crazy techniques, like really like a blitz jab, a 1-2, the head kick, some oblique kicks here and there, a surprise takedown, but like a handful of skills, and you felt like you got to see them on the highest level, right? You really got to see fight IQ. You really got to see someone mix it up, right? There's certain fighters that have like a million different tools that will use a bunch of flashy different kicks or a bunch of flashy different boxing, you know, but someone like Whittaker, who wasn't too strong, he wasn't like crazy powerful, he wasn't crazy durable, he was pretty fast, you know, but like the Kelvin Gastelum one just schools him. Jared Cannonier got caught, but for the most part was schooling him, rocking him. Darren Till, come back, got rocked in the first round, kept going, kind of out kickbox Till, was very impressive. And overall, man, Robert Whittaker, he just has something about him. And while yes, he's fighting Rainer de Ridder, I think he has a very good chance of winning that, and I'm probably gonna pick him to win that. It still feels like, even if he beats that, DDP got TKO'd, Hamzat got his fucking teeth bashed in, you know, it's even in Mavov, that's a hard fight where I can see him catching him. I think he does have some good wins, and I still think if he wants to build legacy, hitting Rainer de Ridder, maybe trying to beat a Caio Borralho, and Hernandez, Alexander Hernandez, or not Alexander, Anthony Hernandez, sorry, Big Fluffy. I think it's a very good fight for Whittaker. I still think he has something less in the sports. He's a young guy. Whittaker was also one of those guys like Max, even Marvin Vittori, who was like super young, that I felt like that even if they weren't necessarily the best fighter right now, they still had time to improve and change, where, you know, Max always evolved here and there. Whittaker still kind of feels the same, but nonetheless, he's still my boy. I can't be mad at him, bro. I always got to rewatch an old masterclass from Whittaker every now and then to keep for the soul. You saw him in the thumbnail. Jan Blachowicz, look how young he is, bro. Look how young he is. That beard. God, man, when Jan Blachowicz won the belt, bro, nobody was picking him against Dominic Reyes, bro. I swear, I remember during that time that when when Blachowicz beat Reyes, who kind of not had an air of invincibility, but it was like, he just seemed like he beat Jones. He should have got the belt, but he didn't. But Jones left, so now he's gonna pick off where he left off, and Reyes was gonna, you know, run the division. But Jan Blachowicz goes in there, throws some ugly, nasty body kicks that shatters his ribs. I don't know if you remember the fucking big purple splotch on fucking the inflatable 2-man that is Dominic Reyes in that long ass fucking torso, bro. Sent Reyes' hairline back fucking 2 or 3 inches, gave him the Vegeta cut. Just rocked his shit, broke his nose, started the trend of shattering Dominic Reyes' nose, and just becomes the champ. It just seems like his power would be too much for a lot of these guys. Like, I don't know, he still seems stiff. Didn't seem the most technical guy, seemed kind of janky, almost like, it almost felt like every time he'd throw a punch, there'd be like a little, like he'd throw like a jab, most people like, you know, he'd be like, I don't know, man. But Jan Blachowicz doing that. When he beat Adesanya, it was so weird. Not because it was totally unexpected, you know, like people were talking about, you know, Adesanya can get caught. He is, you know, Blachowicz just crazy power. He's big. But when he just like, he just kind of masterclassed Adesanya. I don't know. Check the leg kicks. I remember a lot of memes about, you know, Joe Rogan being like the feints of Adesanya. Oh, he's got him right where he wants him, right where he wants. Oh, look at that feint. You blow over. He's racking hard. He's biting on these feints, and just never anything happening. And then Blachowicz just landing good hard shots, and then at some point got a little tired. You know, got a little gas. It happens to all of us. Or when you're big fucking Chad like that, you get a little gassed out. You're like, fuck it, I'm just gonna lay on Adesanya for 2 rounds. Secured it. Fucking 4-1, 5-0, easy decision, man. And then it all went down fucking hill. Glover was just old, bro. He was the old man. And when he was fighting Glover, it felt like Glover, who was coming off a bunch of wins, Thiago Santos, Esther Smith, you know, like performances that really made you want to root for him. But it felt like against Blachowicz that, like, for the sake of the sport, we needed Blachowicz to win, because if Glover wins, it kind of ruins a lot of things. And that card was pretty crazy. I'm pretty sure that card was free too. I'm pretty sure, I forgot what the circumstance for it, but it was like Usman, Colby 2 1 week, and the next week was like this card, or vice versa, or this one was first and then that. But like, it was crazy. Like, bro, I forget, like, that's, I don't want to say that's peak UFC, but I remember in terms of like consistent quality cards where they have 3 title fights, they would have, you know, some bang, like Hamza Chimaev was on the rise. They'd have some good bangers here and there, but you know, going off that, lost to Glover, fights Alex, arguably wins, looks good, but, you know, still not the best body language, kind of gassed out, got hurt here and there. You know, it really feels like the wear and tear is starting to wear on him. And you know what's sad? Sometimes I feel like fighters, they figure it out too late, you know? Like, certain fighters, they struggle their whole career, but by the time they really figure out how to win fights, how to technically, you know, use their game effectively, how to make their game work, it feels like it's almost too late. They start to get chinnier. Like Beneil Dariush is someone that, like, I feel like had his, like, the prime of his career too late, and now he's a little bit chinnier, a little bit slower, you know, even the power's starting to fade here and there. Gilbert Burns kind of like that too. Like, you know, next guy after this. There's certain fighters that really, my bad, y'all, my bad, that feel like they found their prime too late, and Jan Blachowicz is one of them. But nonetheless, fun striking, different styles, you know, mixing the grappling, really just fucking sick. And he walks out the Skyrim, you know. Give it up to Jan Blachowicz, bro. How can you not like this guy? Moving on. Alistair Overeem. Big Reem. You know what? I'm not even talking about Overeem, man. I'm not even talking about, you know, steroided out Brock Lesnar getting knocked out by Bigfoot Still. I'm not even talking about that guy. I'm talking about pre-Volkov TKO, when he was raw dogging the division, when he was doing some nasty vet performances, was beating guys like Walt Harris, winning fights, you know, tactic, like going on the one last run, the last title run, where it felt like if he beat Volkov, he'd be able to have one more chance at the belt. We're really gonna remember this man. This man would get hurt like every fight. He was Charles Oliveira maxing. He'd get hurt, he'd cockroach his way back, get a TKO later in the fight. You know, got 3 or 4 wins in a row, showing that vet performance. It's hard not to root for a fighter that always got close to the belt but never quite got there, but then in the later end of their career starting to, you know, do one more run for it, really go for one. It's hard not to root for this type of guy. And Alistair Overeem was the OG of this. That man was the originator. That man was before fucking Calvin Kattar was or farming against the Wild, trying to get the fans behind him. This was Overeem, who was putting on some nasty vet performances, and then Volkov just fucking brutalized him, man. That's one of those fights where it's like, fuck, bro, yeah. Just end it now, man. But I hope y'all enjoyed it. Hope y'all had fun. Let me know what are some fighters' primes that you missed. This can be as far back as you. When you want to talk about prime BJ Penn, bro, go ahead. You want to talk about fighters? I talk about Oliveira, and that man just left his prime, you know, so And let me know what you guys think. Hope y'all enjoyed it. Anyway, have a good one.